Okay, it says we are live. See if you can find it on the iPad there. And that is the lovely Brianna that I'm talking to, and there she is on camera. And so, fun times. We've been getting a lot of work done, haven't we, lately? Yeah, bring your mic up. Position that puppy. And so we've been getting a lot of work done, and we got the new camera, the A7S Mark III. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the work that we've been doing. We're going to talk about an article that our WAG sent me about Bitcoin. The Motley Fool guy, saying that we shouldn't buy Bitcoin, and giving his arguments against Bitcoin. I told Bree, I said I could come up with some good arguments against Bitcoin, but he didn't. His arguments were really poor, and we're going to go through them and tear them to shreds. We're going to tear his arguments. We're going to debunk. We're going to take the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that he's spreading, and we're going to torpedo it. But in the meantime, here is the camera. Yeah, bring us up there so we can his arguments were see. Really good. And we're going to go through them and tear them to shreds. There you go. Tear his arguments. And I don't see anybody making comments. Where are the comments, folks? Come on in, make some comments, say hi. Some folks are watching, but they're not saying hi. So here is the Sony A7S Mark III. And when I got the A7S Mark II, which is actually the camera we're using right now for camera 1, when I got that camera, I said, man, this is a super camera. Because they took the A7S that did not have stabilization on the sensor, and they added stabilization on the sensor, which allowed you to shoot handheld video clips pretty successfully. You still have to have a steady hand, but you could do it. And there were other improvements, too, that were pretty wild. So, but that camera is 5 years old, that camera right there. And we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for an update to that amazing camera. And so here it is, the long-awaited Sony A7S Mark III. It just is amazing. First of all, it can shoot 4K at 120 frames a second, which is a big deal. We can now shoot some 4K footage and slow it down and get that silky smooth slow motion, high-quality slow motion footage. The color science is improved in it. The bit rates are improved in it. The stabilization is improved a little bit, but it was already pretty good. Let's see, the battery life, oh my gosh, that's a biggie. They made the battery significantly larger, so now it's acceptable. I wouldn't say it's super battery life. I think the Panasonics still have better battery life, but before it was just, I mean, we would be doing a shoot and we'd have to literally be switching batteries in the middle of a shoot in no time flat. This one can at least get through a whole shoot for the most part and not have an issue. So I also put out a separate video. I bought a cage for it, and I had to do a modification on it, and I explained why. I cut the top of the cage off so that I could access all the buttons much easier. And so that's what you kind of see on the camera here is this cage around the camera, which gives me more mounting points. You can, of course, mount the Arca Swiss plate to the bottom of the camera anyway. It's got a 1/4-20 mount. But I also want a place to mount my spider pin to put this on the spider holster. And with this rig on here, it gives me that. And it gives more protection on the sides. It just gives more protection for the camera also. So anyway, I'm excited. I love it. This is my G-Master.
Everything's in focus too.
Yeah, this is my G-Master 85mm lens. The focusing is a tremendous improvement.
Yeah.
And this is my 85mm G-Master lens, which I love, which I've been using on the Sony A7S Mark II. And now I just, of course, put it on this camera, and we're good to go. And we did a test yesterday where Brianna was walking towards the camera at a pretty decent pace. And I was shooting at f1.4, which at f1.4, this has a very shallow depth of field. And it nailed focus almost, I think, every shot. Bam, 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 bam. I mean,
really quick.
I mean, literally, you got to understand that at f1.4, if she's like 8 feet away from this camera, the area that's in focus is razor thin. and this thing was able to keep that in focus as she walked towards the camera. It was pretty freaking amazing. So 2 big thumbs up for the
Definitely.
A7S Mark III. Mark III. Actually, I'll tell you what, can you just set it down over there out of the way in case we need it again? You can set it right on the lens like I had it just then. So that gets the discussion of the Sony A7S Mark III out of the way. And, wow, Craig looks like a rock star. Hey, I'm wearing a Lucchese vest. Lucchese, made in the USA, very soft leather, very comfortable. And it's cool in here. So we need a little bit of extra warmth. That's why Bree has her leather coat on.
And also this sweatshirt has Bitcoin on the side.
Yeah, she's got Bitcoin right there. Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And
the logo.
BriFitDance logo also. There you go. Grimes Graphics here in Frederick did that. And Martin is in the house.
Hey, Bree. Hello,
I wonder
Martin.
if one of the other live streamers live streaming right now, and that's why we don't have as many people in here.
11, yeah.
As usual. And it is a little bit after 5 now. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and dismantle this comment about Bitcoin. Whoa, where are the rest of the watch guys? Yeah, where are they? I'm wearing my 002. I'm wearing my 002 stunner. And Bree's wearing her 038. 038 stunner. And we got the 231 on the bench. 231 on the bench, doing what it does, just keeping perfect time. So, now before we get to the Bitcoin, you released another video yesterday. What is it? Tell us about your video you released.
The video about the moon.
The moon.
Carl Martin.
Carl, young guy.
Very young.
Some people said he's like 13 years old. I think he's older than that.
He has like a baby face. He might be like in his 20s or something.
Yeah.
But I would love to do an interview with him. Or
Bree, you said he's kind of hot, right?
Yeah, he is.
Bree said he's kind of hot, and he's got Bitcoin, so that's a plus,
that's
right?
a hotter attribute.
Yeah. Are you guys dating? Truth Teller 2020. No, we're working together, and I'm helping her out, and she's helping me out, and she's also learning a little bit about my business, Frederick.com, and you may actually be working with some of the sponsors and things like that. You've already learned quite a bit about editing videos, and now you're going to start learning the camera side of things, the capturing of the content side of things.
Photography.
Yeah, and so if you learn that, then you'll be able to actually go out and do some shoots on site with some clients and things like that. So
that'd be cool.
So she is in motion. She's a sponge. Her brain is a sponge. She is sucking up knowledge and doing
more knowledge than I had in school.
And doing positive things with it, too,
right.
I'd say very positive things.
Good skills to have.
So there you go. But so no, show Truth Teller your finger. You don't have a ring on that finger, do you?
No.
There you go, Truth Teller. Okay, get a ring. Get a ring. Make sure you got some Bitcoin. That's a Bitcoin. Prerequisite. Max Kaiser's my favorite video so far. That was wild. You. He's a wild guy.
Yeah.
I love the clip where he's trashing
Peter Schiff.
That was great. Okay, we got a Bitcoiner in here, Truth Teller. Let's go and dismantle this article. So here's the article. This guy, Sean Williams, wrote this article on Motley Fool.
Oh, gosh.
And I replied to the subscriber that sent this to me, and I said, yeah, he's definitely a fool, all right. There's no doubt he's a fool. And so he says, History Making Week, and he talks about how much Bitcoin is up in price. And he says, for as volatile as the stock market has been in 2020, you wouldn't know it by looking at Bitcoin, which is up 201% on a year-to-date basis. Okay, so he goes into that. He says, let's see. there was a euphoria in 2017 and probably has folks believing cryptocurrency is a good investment, but I'm not part of that community. Okay, so first of all, he's comparing 2017, the run-up in 2017, to the run-up that we're having now.
It's very
And I
different.
think right there, out of the chute, I think that could be a mistake, because all indications are right now that the run-up that we're having now is mainly institutional buyers and high net worth individuals, whereas the big run-up in 2017 was retail investor driven. People trying to make a quick buck and get in and get out and trade and all that. And these institutional buyers, they've got strong hands. There's guys like Michael Saylor. He said he will never sell his Bitcoin. He wants it to stay in his estate, for 1,000 years or something, right? So you've got guys coming in with strong hands, a little bit different picture than we had in 2017.
And it's been a steady growth. It's not been like
well, it's shot up quite a bit here lately. Quite a bit lately.
Quite a bit, yeah.
It's quite a bit. But I don't think it's the same as 2017.
Yeah,
we'll
in
see.
2017 it was way faster, I think.
2017 it didn't stay up as high as it has been here lately for as long. Okay, so we had more days over 19,000 by far here in 2020 than they had back in 2017. Okay, so let's move along. Let me catch up on the comments, and then we'll move along on this. I'm going to tear this thing apart, guys. I'm going to tear this article to ribbons. Just stay tuned. Let's see. I'm talking about her Max Kaiser's dance. Hello. Yeah, exactly. The video. Yeah, but if you watch it, there's a clip in there of Max Kaiser commenting about Schiff. It's included in the video. So take a look at the whole thing. You'll see that. Graham Carr's in the house. Hey, Craig, been following for 18 months now. Pulled the trigger on the SBGA 211. That's a snowflake, I believe, last Saturday. Wound it up and let it go for 8 days later, and it's difficult to see any gain or loss at all. Stunning. Well, yeah, those are super comfortable on wrist, too. I believe that's the snowflake. That's the model number for the snowflake. And that could be an all-arounder. That could be one that you can wear all the time. Bill Woods in the house. Craig, you buying Grand Seiko Eagle. What is the Grand Seiko Eagle? Do tell, Bill Woods. Send me a link. Anybody, if there's a link, something you want me to show on the channel, email it to my name, CraigShipp@gmail.com, CraigShipp@gmail.com, and I will send it. I will show it. Be Served the Unforgiven. Wasn't Max Kaiser in your house, Craig? I wish he was. No, it was Adam Meister. Adam Meister was here for an interview. Okay, so let me go on here. So he's saying he's not part of the Bitcoin community. He's not part of these people that say that it's a good investment. And he's gonna clearly debunk, he says, the bull case for Bitcoin. And I'm going to debunk him. So let's do this. First thing he attacks is Bitcoin is scarce and therefore holds incredible value. One predominant catalyst for Bitcoin is the perception of scarcity. It currently has 18.57 million tokens in circulation and a cap of 21 million. Over time, the remaining 2.43 million tokens will be mined via transaction proofing and block rewards. With only so many tokens to go around, fractions of a token can be bought and sold. The buy thesis suggests that this scarcity makes Bitcoin an excellent investment. The problem is that Bitcoin lacks genuine scarcity. Its perceived cap of 21 million tokens exists because of computer code. Last I checked, code can always be erased and rewritten. While it's unlikely that a community consensus would be reached to increase the circulating supply of Bitcoin, the possibility of this happening isn't zero. No, it's not zero. It is 99.999% certain that it will not happen. So there's a 0.0001% chance that it will. Virtually no chance. He's bringing up an argument here that there's virtually no chance that it will happen. None. Zero. Like, for example, if I said, I'm going to go to bed, and when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to look like I'm 20 years old. All my gray hair will be gone. You know, I'll be 20 years old again, right? Yeah, there's probably a 0.0000001% chance of that happening, right? It may not be zero. It may be a miracle or something, right? But basically, it's pretty certain that it ain't going to happen. So why would he bother to make the argument? Here's the thing. The people that would have to agree, the consensus that they'd have to come to, the people that would have to agree all hold Bitcoin. They all have Bitcoin. They would not agree to something that's not in their best interest. They would not dilute their own Bitcoin. So that's a ridiculous argument. Right out of the chute, he starts with a ridiculous argument. Now, he could have said something like there's all these altcoins, right? There's all these other coins that people are coming out with that are going to be better than Bitcoin and so on and so forth. That would have been a better argument than the one he just made, even though that's not even that good an argument. And we'll get into that also at some point. But, yeah, let's move on. Yep, Snowflake. It's already been in the swimming pool. There you go.
Wow.
Okay, so let's go on here. And this is really funny. He says, by comparison, a precious metal like gold has a hard supply limit. We can't use alchemy to make more gold. The only gold that's available is what's been mined or is still underground. When the only parameter of scarcity is written computer code, that's not true scarcity. This is unbelievable. Okay, so let's say that, again, the chance of there being more than 21 million Bitcoin is very, 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 very small. The chance of there being more gold is 100%. They're always digging new gold out of the ground, and they may get gold from some asteroid somewhere. It might be in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean that we've never explored. Gold can be a lot of places. And there's absolutely no cap on gold. We know that for 100% certainty.
It's not as scarce.
At least we're not going to run out of gold anytime soon. For thousands of years, they'll still be bringing gold out of the ground. Will it get harder to get gold out of the ground? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe they'll just come out with better methods, right? So, again, just a ridiculous argument on scarcity. Okay, so let's move on here. Bitcoin is becoming more popular with retailers by the day. Another buy thesis of bulls is that Bitcoin's utility is growing by the day. More businesses are accepting digital tokens for payment, and a broader swath of people are buying Bitcoin tokens for the first time. According to financial services company Fedora, around 2,300 U.S. businesses and 15,000 global businesses were accepting Bitcoin at the end of 2019. More than a dozen multinational companies also accept Bitcoin. Slam dunk proof of increasing utility, right? Okay, so this is a ridiculous argument, right? The whole thing is a totally ridiculous argument. Because here's the thing. Bitcoin is not a great way to buy something. It's not a great way to go down to the Starbucks and get a cup of coffee, okay? This is what the Bitcoin Cash people try to argue, right? We're not there yet. We could get there in 10 years, but we're not there yet. The people that are buying Bitcoin right now are buying it because they believe in the concept of financial freedom and sovereignty, individual responsibility for your wealth. The people that are buying Bitcoin right now want a place to put their money where they feel that it will not be debased, where it will be safe. They see the United States government printing dollars like they're going out of style and devaluing the currency, and they see this happening all around the world, and they want to put their money somewhere. And like Michael Saylor, he looked at real estate, he looked at art, he looked at a whole bunch of different places to put his $500 million, as what they put into it initially. They've put in more since. His company, MicroStrategies, he looked at a lot of options, and he's a freaking genius, okay? He's a rocket scientist, and he picked Bitcoin. So some wealthy people, not everybody, some wealthy people are picking Bitcoin because they want to park their money there and they think it will be safer there than being in the U.S. dollar. It's as simple as that. It has nothing to do with going to Starbucks and buying coffee. And will we get there if it becomes the world reserve currency and everybody wants Bitcoin? Will people start doing business in Bitcoin? Absolutely they will. But I think it'll start with large ticket items first and then trickle down from there with things like the Lightning Network. But this guy, to act like the reason why you should buy Bitcoin is because retailers are taking it, I don't know where he pulled that one out. Another very, very weak argument. Okay, so let's go on. Kyle's in the house. Hey guys, been busy down here with Brett in Texas. Hope all you are doing well. Excellent. God bless Texas. God bless Texas. Okay, let's go on to the next ridiculous argument. Okay. Oh, here we go. Furthermore, approximately 40% of Bitcoin tokens are being held by long-term investors with no desire to put those tokens into circulation. Rather than having 400 billion in buying power, there's more like 240 billion in purchasing power available, accounting for 0.17% of global GDP in 2019. There are not nearly enough tokens in existence to drive widespread adoption based on these figures. Okay. Did this guy not get the memo that each Bitcoin is divisible down to 100 million units? Did he not get this memo? Of course there's not enough Bitcoin for everybody to have multiple Bitcoins. Right? Of course there's not enough. And of course, the market cap is relatively low right now. This is still a young movement here, okay? The market cap is, I admit, it's relatively low. And we're going to get into volatility here in a moment. That's one of the reasons why it's volatile, right? But the fact that there's not enough tokens, he's talking about the number of tokens as opposed to the market cap. Now, if he'd have said the market cap isn't high enough, I'd agree with him. Yeah, market cap is not high enough for this thing to be a mainstream, everybody using it thing. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, right? But to say that there aren't enough units, there aren't enough tokens, is ridiculous considering that each Bitcoin can be, broken down, divided down to 100 million units. And that is something that they would agree to change in the code if we needed to break it down further. That's no big deal. You could add a couple of zeros to that and break it down into even smaller parts. It's basically infinitely divisible, I guess is what I'm saying. So yes, there's going to be plenty of tokens to go around for anybody that wants them. It might be a small portion of a Bitcoin, but that's the way it is if you wait too long. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing.
Gold.
Okay, we get to the store of value. Bitcoin is the new store of value. Bitcoin bulls also are pretty convinced that the most popular digital currency is now a bona fide store of value, i.e. an asset, commodity, or currency that maintains its value. Every month, the Federal Reserve is buying roughly $120 billion in government-backed debt. When coupled with the central bank's pledge to keep its federal funds rate at or near record lows, it's pretty much at zero, it's pretty evident that the U.S. dollar will be under pressure. In other words, it's going to be devalued. Crypto investors believe that a ballooning money supply is a green flag for Bitcoin to head significantly higher. The issues I have with the store of value thesis are twofold. First, Bitcoin isn't backed by any other asset or government. Therefore, it has no tie-ins or official relationship to the movements of the U.S. dollar, implying that a ballooning money supply should push Bitcoin higher is nothing more than a dart throw. Unfreaking believable. Okay, so let's start here. Yes, fiat currencies like the United States dollar are backed by the United States of America. Okay? Good. The problem is the people that are fleeing the dollar, that are taking their dollars and buying real estate, buying gold, now increasingly buying Bitcoin, the reason they're doing it is they are in fact losing confidence in the United States dollar. They are losing confidence. They are thinking that the Fed is going to keep printing money like crazy and devaluing the currency, and they'll have much less purchasing power. over the last 100 years, we've lost like 97% of the purchasing power. This is already happening. 2 to 3% a year adds up, big guys. Okay, so here's the thing. They already know that the dollar is going down the tubes, and so they're figuring on places to put their money. It's as simple as that. Now, when you talk about an asset, he's talking about things that have intrinsic value. Okay, you can make an argument that a piece of real estate has some value because you can rent it out and you can get rent from that real estate. Okay?
Right.
Now, some people argue that gold has intrinsic value because it has other uses. It can be put in a beautiful gold watch like this Grand Seiko or this faux pay bracelet. Yes, it can, but here's the thing. A small portion of the value of gold right now is because of its use case for jewelry and electronics and so forth. If it wasn't a speculative store of value, it would be worth much less than it is right now. Let's round it off to $1,900. I don't know what gold is right now today, but let's say it's $1,900. It would probably be worth $100 or $150 if it was just used for jewelry. So the vast majority of the value of gold is because of speculation, is because people feel it is a good place to put their money, so they're putting their money. The value of anything really is a question of supply and demand. Who wants to buy it? Who wants to sell it? It's as simple as that. It has nothing to do with the item being backed, quote, backed by something. It isn't backed by anything. It's backed by the fact that people want it. And that's the way value goes with anything. And that's why real estate has value, is because the people want it for whatever purpose, to live in it or to rent it out or whatever, right? Now, speculators are moving into a lot of the real estate markets and pumping the prices up because they want a place to put their cash as a store of value, so those values are being pumped up. And again, that's because of supply and demand. It's not because of the, quote, intrinsic value, what they can get for it renting it, right? They might not get near enough renting it to even pay their mortgage, right? So they're clearly just dumping money in there to park it somewhere. Another ridiculous argument. Okay, so let's go on. Here he talks about volatility. Okay. Jeez, okay.
Oops.
This guy, is this guy trolling? Second, store of value assets are designed to maintain their value over time and protect investors from volatility. Yet in March, Bitcoin nearly lost half of its value in a 24-hour period. In 2018, the largest cryptocurrency by market cap shed over 80% of its value. In 2013, Bitcoin lost about half of its value in about 6 hours. This isn't how a store of value asset behaves. The truth is, buying Bitcoin is pure speculation. Okay. This guy needs to learn a little something about market caps. When you've got a small market cap item, a stock, Bitcoin, anything that has a relatively small market cap, right? When Apple was a younger company. When buyers pour in, the price can go up very quickly because the percentage of that market cap that's flowing in, new money coming in, is high, and so that can drive that value up very quickly. And the opposite's true. If all of a sudden a bunch of people want to sell, then the value can go down very quickly because it's a relatively small market cap item, okay? It's a question of the percentages of the money that's coming in as compared to the total market cap. If that's a high percentage of money coming in, that's going to push the value up. High percentage of money going out is going to push it down. Now, as Bitcoin matures and the market cap continues to grow, which, by the way, he doesn't point out that for the last 10 years it's been consistently growing. Yes, it's been up and down, but the trend has been up. If you step back and look at the big picture, it's like a 45-degree angle going up on that chart. It's like what any investor wants, right? So anyway, as the market cap increases, the volatility will wane. It will be less and less volatile until it'll finally get to the point where it'll just be a steady increase at a very slow amount, and that's, then we might reach that point in 50 years. It might take 50 years to get to that point. Up until then, it might be going up at a pretty rapid pace for the next 50 years. We don't know. But at some point, yes, it'll start leveling off when it gets more and more mature. Hey, you got to take risks to get big gains. Yes, you get in early on a stock like Apple, a stock like Amazon. If you look at Amazon stock, if you go back and look at the history of Amazon stock, it's had huge drawdowns as well, just like Bitcoin in the early days. It was like this, Amazon, right? But anybody that bought it and held it, they're doing real good. They're doing real good. Let's see. Kyle, did you have to rescue Brett from Mexico? Craig, what would you say to someone that asks you to put on a mask when you're walking outside? So far, nobody has asked me to do that, but I would reply what I normally reply about masks is that masks are silly, that they're generally not a good idea. Okay, so let me go on and let's see. And here's the other thing he says. You're naive. A digital payment revolution is underway, and it's led by Bitcoin. Bitcoin optimists also crow about Bitcoin leading the digital payments revolution. Going cashless could resolve the issues created by certain regions of the world being underbanked. Additionally, the blockchain technology that underlines Bitcoin, this is interesting, could revolutionize the payment processing and settlement time frame, especially in cross-border transactions. While I don't disagree that a digital payment revolution is underway or that blockchain could offer global financial and supply chain solutions, Bitcoin isn't the vessel that's going to make this vision a reality. Okay, so this is the stupidest anti-Bitcoin position of them all, which is blockchain, not Bitcoin. These idiots that have done no research at all, they've done zero, they've done this much research, either that or their brain is a sieve and whatever comes in goes out, and they're just got issues. Here's the thing about this argument, blockchain, and this came out like in 2018 or so after the big run up and all. This was the big thing. Well, maybe Bitcoin isn't going to work out, but blockchain technology, on the other hand, that's revolutionary. That's going to be a big deal. Real estate, everything's going to be put on the blockchain, right? Everything's going to be blockchain. Blockchain this, blockchain that. Here's the deal with that argument. This is why that argument is so stupid. There have been about 10,000 projects that have claimed they were going to use the blockchain to revolutionize the world. Bunch of altcoins, bunch of other projects, right? And the whole concept of the blockchain and proof of work and the having every 4 years and the difficulty adjustment, everything was built around Bitcoin and around Bitcoin security. The whole thing is built for Bitcoin. It's not built for other things, okay? It is a purpose-built thing for Bitcoin. Bitcoin now has the network effect and has the lead, has a big enough market cap that none of these wannabes are going to be able to catch it. And so it's now becoming a financial protocol, just like the internet has protocols that underlie it. This is going to be the financial protocol. Bitcoin is going to be it. It's the way to move money around the world safely, efficiently, with high levels of security. It is it. There is no organization that is going to come forward that is going to put the money and resources into a, quote, blockchain that is big enough to rival Bitcoin. They don't have the money. And why would they do it in the first place? It would be counter to their business model. The big banks and these big institutions and so on, they want control. They don't want anything to be decentralized. They want total control. They want it to be centralized. So why would they build a decentralized blockchain? And here's the thing, it takes a tremendous amount of electricity and resources and so forth to keep the Bitcoin blockchain secure. And the only reason those miners are doing that is because Bitcoin is so valuable. These crap coins that are worthless. Nobody's going to spend those kind of resources on those kind of projects to build that kind of network and to build that kind of security. Here's a chance for somebody, if they own one Bitcoin, here's a chance for somebody to own 1/21 millionth of a revolutionary financial network. You know, when the internet started, you couldn't own part of the internet, and that's the thing. That's the other argument he makes here, is that you can't own part of it, which is totally wrong. Let me get to that point in here where he makes that point. Give me a second. The interesting thing about blockchain is that it can be tethered to multiple types of digital currency, be used in conjunction with fiat currency, or can operate independent of a tethered token. There's absolutely zero evidence that Bitcoin is necessary to support blockchain revolution. To add, the buying Bitcoin tokens does not give an investor any ownership in the underlying blockchain. With no ownership in the solution that has the potential to actually drive this digital revolution, Bitcoin investors are pinning their hopes on other investors being willing to pay more for a currency that exists only in computer code than they did. Okay, so in other words, the greater fool theory. Okay, so here's the thing. This is where he's, again, totally wrong. Blockchain ain't it. It isn't about blockchain. You can't take this blockchain and do something else with it. It's Bitcoin or nothing. That's what it is, okay? Bitcoin is going to succeed as the payment infrastructure for the world for decentralized payments, or it's not. It's either going to make it or it's going to fail, okay? I think it's going to make it. And if you own Bitcoin, yes, you do own part of that blockchain in effect. In effect, you do. Because everybody that's working to secure that blockchain, they're working to make your Bitcoin more valuable. And everybody that comes in and gets involved and talks about it like we're doing right now, they're working to make your Bitcoin more valuable. When Michael Saylor does all these tweets about how amazing Bitcoin is, and when he goes on different podcasts and different TV shows and talks about how great Bitcoin is, it's making all of our Bitcoin more valuable. And for people to say that computer code has no value, have they ever heard of a company called Microsoft? Have they ever heard of that? Have they ever heard of a company called Apple? Yeah, their hardware is great, but you know what really makes it is the software. The software is what really makes their products valuable and their company valuable. It's the computer code. So this guy is, he's making arguments from 2017. I think he's got to get caught up. I think he's got to realize that the big money is coming into this space and that they're not buying his arguments. They've thrown up their hands and they've said, damn, this Bitcoin thing just won't die. It is the honey badger. It just won't die. It just keeps going up. People get more interested in it all the time. And we got to have a piece of it. We can't miss this train. This train ain't slowing down. We got to hop on. And that's what's happening. And you can make all kinds of arguments against it. I could make much better arguments than the ones he made here. The arguments I would make against it, I'll talk about here in a minute, if I was going to make this case.
This guy must hold an altcoin.
I doubt he has any altcoins, no. First of all, he's probably broke. So there's that. Most writers are. If you can't do right? Okay, let's get caught up here. We got a comment from R. Wags. Chip, I'm glad you are discussing the guy's column from Motley Fool. That is all it is. It's only his opinion and not very well researched. There you go. Bree said in an interview that your favorite book is, you said that your favorite book is Animal Farm. Have you read 1984?
No, I have not.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right, so here we go, R. Wags. If I was going to make the argument that he's making, that Bitcoin, you should not invest in Bitcoin. And by the way, I've said many times that I don't think you should invest in Bitcoin if you have any debt and if you are not relatively financially secure. In other words, your house paid for, some money in the bank, emergency funds, some other investments. Now go ahead and take a chance on Bitcoin. That's been my, and again, I'm not advising people to do that. That's my take. That's how I look at it personally. So here's the thing. Here's the arguments that I would make. If the government came in and said, if you're caught holding Bitcoin, buying or selling Bitcoin, transferring it to somebody else, anything, if you have anything to do whatsoever with Bitcoin, we're going to put you into jail for 20 years. Okay? If the United States government came out and did that, the price would plummet. Would it go to zero? I don't know. I'm not so sure about that, but the price would plummet. If they did that and they got together with some other governments like China, Russia, some of the other big governments, and they all agreed that, 20 years in jail if you're caught with any Bitcoin, the price would plummet. Okay? That's one argument against Bitcoin. Do I think that's going to happen? No. And I think with every year that goes by, there's more and more clarity from the governments, and there are more and more high net worth individuals that have influence with the governments, that it's less and less likely that that happens. So every year that Bitcoin survives, I think that the odds of that happening go down. Or is it zero at this point? No, it's not zero at this point. I give it about a 5% chance at this point. 5 years ago, I'd have given it a 60% chance, maybe 70% chance. 8 years ago, I'd have given it a 90% chance. When I first heard about it, it was probably about 8 years ago. My initial reaction was the government's going to shut that down. They're not going to put up with that. They don't want any decentralized, independent way for people to move value amongst themselves. Are you kidding me? They're going to shut this thing down. Forget about it. That's why I didn't buy it when I first heard about it. Wish I had bought it. Didn't. And when in 2013, when I first bought a decent chunk of it, I still, even at that point, thought there was a good chance that it was going to be shut down. Okay, so that's the first thing, is the government shutting it down or heavily regulating it to the point where they've just as much as shut it down. Okay? The second thing is some kind of errant piece of computer code slips in, something slips in, a bug of some sort, gets by all the due diligence. Somebody comes up with an improvement to Bitcoin for the code, and it gets past all the people that scrutinize it and look at it and due diligence and so on. And somehow this code gets in there. Somehow this code gets in, and it allows some backdoor exploit, and something terrible happens where somebody goes in and steals a bunch of Bitcoin from somebody or whatever. Something terrible happens. The publicity gets out that it's not secure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and it tumbles. And that might be the type of thing that it wouldn't be able to recover from, because one of the core tenets of Bitcoin is its security and its reliability. Because remember, there's no 800 number that you can call and say, hey, I lost my Bitcoin, I need to get it back, right? There's no reset, okay? We can't all of a sudden go in and say, hey, this Bitcoin was sent to this person, but it wasn't supposed to be, so we need to take it back, right? There's no way to do that. It's permanent. And so if somebody gets in there and messes with that permanent record and muddies the waters and screws things up through some bug, then I think that could be the end of it. So those are the two big things that are ways that Bitcoin could be seriously hurt and or killed. And again, every year that goes by, the chances of either one of those things happening is very small. And I think right now the chances of either one of those things happening is very small, below 5%.
I think so.
And I can't think of any other attack vectors, anything else that would be significant to harm Bitcoin. If anybody else can think of something, put it in the chat. It's 5:45 p.m. on the East Coast. Okay. Be you served, the unforgiven. At your age, 20 years may be a life sentence for me. Well, yeah. I mean, it could be. It could absolutely be. Our wags in the house. Craig, you think the columnist might just have a dog in the hunt? After all, why would I need to subscribe to the Motley Fool if I'm investing in Bitcoin? That's kind of an interesting point. You know, here's the thing. I think about selling some of my Bitcoin. You know, now that we're at pretty high prices, let's face it, $23,500. Isn't that what it's at, Bree?
Yeah, $23,000.
$23,500. It's insane how high it is. Absolutely insane. I think about selling some of my Bitcoin. I actually think about it, but here's the thing. Capital gains tax is no joke. Even at long-term capital gains, it's no joke. It's a nice chunk of money. And then my other thought is, where else am I going to put the money to get better returns? Am I going to buy back Apple stock? It's already run up quite a bit. Now, I will say that the GBTC that I bought when I sold my Apple stock, everybody said, oh, you sold your Apple stock. Apple's going crazy. And Apple went up quite a bit, after I sold it. Guess what? I bought GBTC stock. I kept some cash on the sidelines too, but I bought GBTC, and it's gone up significantly more than the Apple stock. So there you go. Where else am I going to put the money and get these kinds of returns? Am I going to buy more real estate? That's a money-sucking hole. The taxes are getting insane. I'm going to keep the real estate I have, but it's getting really insane to hold real estate. The expenses, the maintenance, the taxes. I don't have any mortgage payments, but I still got to buy on my rental properties. I still got to buy liability insurance, a slip and fall, that kind of stuff. I don't have regular household insurance on my Florida house because the damn rates got so high. I told the guy 15 years ago, I said, no, I don't think I'll buy that. And he said, well, you got to. He says, the mortgage company is going to require it. I said, well, yeah, if I had a mortgage company, they would require it. So he shook his head. He started cussing. He didn't know what to do. I didn't buy it from him. But I still have to buy liability insurance, slip and fall, that type of thing. Because I do rent that property from time to time. In order to rent it, you need to have that. So they get you one way or the other on the expenses. How would you pronounce his name? Priron? Prion? Okay. What do you think of recent articles by Motley Fool and all saying the fixed supply may not really be fixed since it's open source code and they can just get together and decide to alter it? Thoughts? Yeah, that's what we just talked about in the show. We talked about it earlier. And I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a ridiculous argument for him to make, because the people that would have to get together to make that decision, to come to a consensus, they all own Bitcoin. It would be totally against their best interest to dilute the supply of Bitcoin. Yeah, I think that's a very, very, very small chance of that happening. And even if they did do it, they would probably do something like, for example, if they made the supply 10 times what it is now, they multiplied it by a factor of 10, then what they would do is they would give everybody that has Bitcoin now, currently holding it now, they'd multiply their Bitcoin by 10. So if you had 1 Bitcoin, they'd say, okay, now all of a sudden you've got 10 Bitcoin, right? And so the only reason they would do something like that would be that way there would be a higher number of Bitcoin outstanding, but the value would be lower, right? But here's the thing. There's no reason to do that because it's already divisible by 100 million units. Each Bitcoin is already divisible down to 100 million units. So there's no reason to need more Bitcoin. There's no reason to increase the 21 million supply. Now, if it was 21 million Bitcoin and it couldn't be broken down, it couldn't be divided down, then I can see a legit argument. Hey, this is insane because if a Bitcoin gets to be worth $1 million, which some are saying it will, nobody would be able to buy it. What would you do with a Bitcoin? You wouldn't be able to buy anything with it because it can't be broken down, right? But it can. It can be broken down to 100 million units. So that solves the problem. Just call it a Satoshi. Don't call it a Bitcoin. I'm going to send you 10,000 Satoshis, right? And let's say Satoshi gets to be worth $1. Let's say a Satoshi gets to be worth $1. Then yeah, you wouldn't be able to buy anything that's worth less than $1 with it. Is that really a big deal? What can you buy these days that's less than $1? Especially if they continue to devalue the United States dollar, there won't be anything under $1. You know?
Inflation.
So our Wags is in the house. Don't you believe in enjoying some of your gains, profits at some time? After all, I don't want to be worth 50 million or more and live the lifestyle of somebody making 200K. Well, here's the thing. It all depends on what lifestyle you choose. I don't choose a complicated lifestyle. I really want for nothing. Matter of fact, I've got more junk laying around than I really need. And it might even be refreshing at some point to get rid of a lot of stuff and lighten the load and go and do some traveling and
would you sell it or just donate it?
I don't know what I would do with a lot of the stuff. Yeah, maybe some of it can be sold and some of it donated, whatever. You know I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
everywhere.
I've got a lot of stuff. So yeah, sometimes a simpler life is I think more desirable. So I'm at the point where I would probably go the other direction. I'd probably simplify things more as opposed to complicating things. And so, and knock on wood, fortunately, I have enough income and so forth that I don't need to tap my investments. I can let my investments keep growing, and I think that's always a good thing to do if you can possibly do that. Is live on less than you make, right? And just take some of that extra money that you don't spend from your income and save and invest it. And I think that's good to do for your entire life. I think you should do that. I don't think that should ever change. And that way your goose that's laying the golden eggs stays healthy and keeps growing. I told Bitcoin, you're starting to learn about compound interest. You're starting to learn about, you've been socking Bitcoin away and
yes.
And U.S. currency, and you're getting good returns, interest on it, and you're
interest
starting to
on
see
BlockFi.
You're starting to see how it grows.
The growth. Oh,
BlockFi pays 8.6% interest on USDs that you deposit. So that's not peanuts. 8.6%.
So it's definitely growing.
So she took some of the money that she had sitting in her checking account that she was earning nothing on, and she put it in there, and now she's getting money every month. And she's seeing that pile grow.
Wire transfer.
Yeah, and you're getting donations. You got another donation recently of Bitcoin.
From the recent video that I did.
Yeah, and every time...
Scanned it and then...
Yeah, every time you get a donation, you just pile it up.
Yep, hold and keep it there.
Yeah, you don't sell any.
No.
Yeah. Bree doesn't sell any of her Bitcoin, So we'll see. We'll see how all this works out. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. We're going to wrap it up. So if you want any questions asked, just go ahead and put it in there. Celsius pays over 10% on USDC. There you go. Well, as long as they stay in business and everything goes good, then you're good. But I think as far as parking some of my money anywhere, I think BlockFi is probably the best choice. I think they're a
Yeah,
pretty
I think so.
solid group of folks over there. R-Wags in the house. A Prevo, absolutely. A Prevo, NetJet fractional lease. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I don't like flying. I don't like flying at all. So that ain't going to happen. But a Prevo, yes. Yeah, here's the thing that would be kind of interesting. Home in Aspen or Jackson Hole, I can think of a lot of ways to enjoy wealth. Here's the thing. I think the ideal lifestyle, I'm going to outline it right now. A place in Sarasota, I've got that covered. A Prevo, fully ready to go, ready to hit the road. A place up north for the summertime, maybe in the mountains somewhere, maybe in Vermont or something, to get away from the heat. A place where you can get away from the heat and they have a nice facilities, maybe nice tennis, things. I like playing tennis, okay? I like playing volleyball also. But tennis, as long as I can play tennis a couple, 3 times a week, and I can have a nice place to walk and hike, and I can have nice weather. I like nice weather. So if I can have a place to go in the hot summer months, July, August, get away from those dog days of summer, where I am right now has some elevation to it, so it's pretty good in the summer. But the place in Sarasota, the Prevo to travel in between and to maybe do some other trips, other places, that to me is fine. That's really all that I need to enjoy myself. So, yeah, and I'm going to do that. I'm between coaches right now. I'm going to get another coach. It's just a question of when, and it ain't gonna be that long, because I can tell you I'm not keen on spending these winters up here. I need to be hitting the
No,
road.
I don't like the cold weather either.
Need to be hitting the road. All right, folks, we're gonna wrap it up. Wrap it up.
All right.
Let's do a time check. Oh, we got to show your website, Bree.
Sure.
We didn't
BriFitDance.
We didn't show your website. You get this down. Get this to the top. There you go.
BriFitDance.com.
BriFitDance.com.
You can follow me on all social media links.
Yep, you're going to find
social media platforms.
You're going to find links there to. You're going to find links there to all of her social media. You're going to find some of her videos there, and some links to her
ways
photos.
to donate.
And ways you can donate. That's right, the QR codes, so you can donate. Let's go down and show those here real quick. There's, where's BlockFi?
That's blockchain.
That's blockchain. Okay,
And
here's
that's
BlockFi. I'm going to leave
BlockFi.
that one on the screen there, because that one you get interest. So if you want to donate,
That was the important one.
scan that one, and send a little donation to Bree so she can keep making her videos. On that note, we're going to wrap this puppy up.
Thank you for watching.
Everybody for watching. Absolutely. It's been almost an hour. Nice how that works.
Cool.
And we will do this again sometime.